Morning, everyone. We'll call this meeting the Wapaga County Land and Water Conservation Committee to order. This meeting and all other meetings of this committee are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the media in accordance with Wisconsin statutes so that the citizenry may be aware of the time, place, and agenda of this meeting. This meeting will be broadcast for remote address or live stream at the YouTube address that is published with the agenda. Roll call shows we're
missing
Dwayne and
Dwayne Federowitz.
I think that's all.
That's it.
Yeah, we're good. Have you had a chance to look at the agenda?
Yes, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Moved by Supervisor Yeager, seconded by Supervisor Wengelski to approve the agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Then we've got the minutes from the last meeting, the May 2nd meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve minutes of last month.
Thank you. Thank you. Moved by Supervisor Yeager, seconded by Supervisor Wilford to approve the minutes of May 2nd meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Thank you again. This time we open the floor for public comment. I don't see any public in the room. Is there anybody? Nobody's online?
Nobody's online.
Okay, if not, then we'll move on to agency reports. And I see we've got a FSA person here. Is Lisa on? She's first on the agenda, but if she's
No,
not
she won't be here today, Jim.
Okay, then we'll go right to FSA. And thank you for being here and the report ahead of time even, so.
All right, so basically all we really have going on right now is an emergency relief program. It is based on the pandemic as well. It is $6 billion appropriated for disaster. So it started out with covering the hurricane and wildfire program, and now it's moved into, it's based off of anybody at this point, phase one, that has had a disaster for crop insurance. So they have sent out material to anybody that received an indemnity payment for the years 20 and 21. If you receive a letter, that does not necessarily mean that you are covered by the natural disaster. So it's up to the producers to get a hold of their insurance carrier and see what their disaster was for. What we would see more than likely in this area is excessive moisture or frost freeze. Drought is on there, and there's a lot of misunderstanding of the drought. The drought would have to be a D2 drought or a D3 drought, which would be 8 consecutive weeks at a minimum, and we did not qualify for that. That's more of the Racine, Milwaukee County area that experienced that. So producers will have received a letter, and it would say that it came from Wapaga County. Well, all they have to do is verify that they did have a qualifying disaster by checking a box on the application. Pretty simple, straightforward, and then they have to agree that they will purchase crop insurance for the next 2 years to cover that and sign it, and pretty straightforward. That's phase one. And those applications need to be turned into our office by July 22nd. And phase two then will cover anyone that was not covered under crop insurance. And we don't know the details of phase two at this time. I'm assuming it'll be tied to purchasing crop insurance in the future. But this covers vine crops, crops like that we would see around here is corn, soybean, that kind of crops. And basically it just opened up last week. We started accepting the applications last week already, and we are just waiting right now for approval from the district director on the first 5 of our applications, so then we can start making payments. So the money will start going out in the community as early as that. That we do have is at some point, again, we will be posting to hire. We did not hire the last time around. We received 3 applications, and that was it. One of them withdrew, one of them was disqualified, and the other one we did not hire. So
yeah.
This time around, they are going to offer an incentive because this is our fourth time posting for the position. So that incentive, to my understanding, is going to be 10% of the salary based on where the person qualifies on the scale.
Now, is this right for office PT?
Yep,
Oh,
full-time positions.
Yeah.
We are hiring 3 full-time positions between the shared management, so that would be Wapaka, Portage, and Wood County. So when we, hire somebody, and if they are from this area, then they would be stationed in this. That's what we would like to have, one in each of the 3 offices at this time. That's where we're at. It was supposed to open by the 20th. I sent out 1,300 direct mailers with crop reports, and it didn't happen on May 20th. It's still in motion with Dave Bolts. So as soon as we hear something, that'll be opened up.
So going back to the disaster payment thing, does that include through this spring?
It includes through this spring, but that part hasn't rolled out yet. So it would be like if you planted winter wheat and it failed, but it won't be triggered until an indemnity is paid by the insurance. So once an indemnity is paid, then they'll refresh the software, and then people will flow into the program.
I dropped a tractor off at Petke Repair Shop east of Iola late last week, and visiting with the owner there, and he was saying these farms like Manawa, Simcoe, and East that are still haven't got anything planted.
Really?
Yeah.
Rain.
There were a couple really narrow, heavy storms
Yep.
that just went through. I know Dwayne said he was coming back and everything were just flooded there. For a while.
Yeah.
I think, did Joel say they got 3 inches of rain for that rain event in Simcoe?
No,
Yeah, there was areas that they got
I
hammered.
always been working on by Simcoe and so it's fresh ditching and road reshaping and worked farm fields, and yeah, they had mud to clean out of the ditches again. It really washed in spots. It was, yeah.
That's what we've heard. And I know like Oconto County, we had roads washed out. So much rain out there. So.
Yeah.
It will encompass that because 22 is covered under this. 20, 21, and 22 is what's covered under this. So 21, I think we had more of the excessive moisture. So I think that will be what we'll see for that. And 21, we had that frost freeze Memorial Day weekend, so that we'll see more of that. That's what I've got.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you. We had called for public comment on, I know you show up every so often if you're just.
Right, I'm Phil Peterson, and I'm the chairman of the water committee for the Packaging Lakes.
Okay.
So I'm more of an observer than a participant.
Okay, because we just got past the public comment period on the agenda, but if,
No public comment at this point.
okay. Okay,
How about a roll?
Roll, no, I had my breakfast.
thank you. So Lisa's not gonna be here today. That's the way that is. So there isn't any NRCS report.
They do have a virtual meeting tomorrow at NRCS, and that's going to be from 10 to 12. Participants will be able to join teleconference or Microsoft Teams. So basically, that was the only thing that I had found that they were offering at this point. If the person is interested, they could probably contact the NRCS office to get the details how to join that. That's a virtual conservation meeting.
So is that replacing the one that Brian, maybe you remember too, is that the one that they would have at the Fremont Town Hall?
Yes, correct, Jim.
Virtual, okay.
What they used to refer to as their local work group.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if anybody here has time and would like to get in on that meeting, it wouldn't hurt. We normally would, a couple of us would try and go to that meeting when they had it at Fremont Town Hall, so. I'll see how it goes tomorrow, Brian. How's that?
Yeah, I'll see if Lisa can get us a link for that.
Okay. Supervisory reports. So anybody got anything they want to report on that they've been to, seen, done? Okay, well, I guess on to number 8, your meeting reports. And so back to you, Brian.
Okay, Dennis and Dwayne and I went to the Lake Winnebago area meeting down in Fond du Lac a couple of Fridays ago. Some pretty good presentations there, specifically one from the Green Lake Sewer District. They actually are a taxing entity and they hired a new staff person because Green Lake County Land and Water had lost a person and the county chose not to refill the position. So Green Lake Sewer District did it for them. And that person's working out of the county office, but they've got a pretty big push on there for Green Lake. Their water quality has been declining for a while. So I thought that was fairly interesting of all the things that we saw that day. So, otherwise, we had our normal monthly demo farm project management meeting. Nothing too unusual other than there's some field days starting to pop up. One of them was supposed to be this morning in Marquette, but I'm guessing that got canceled. It was just a pop-up thing. Farmer there was doing some interseeding with that interseeder, 3-point interseeder that we've used before. So that's pretty much it for me, unless Dennis has anything else he wants to say about the Fond du Lac meeting.
The only question we were talking on the way back, what did they do with all those carp that they killed in Green Lake? How did they
I don't know.
dispose?
That's a good question. Fertilize somebody's garden? That's what we do when we shoot them at night, but yeah, they took out quite a few thousand pounds is my understanding, so.
Yeah. I know when the Pigeon Lake kills carp there, they gotta haul them up somewhere to Shawano. They can't use them for fertilizer. Makes me, it's not right.
Well, that's what I had heard. There's a virus. Was it in
That's in
Pigeon
Clintonville,
Lake?
yeah.
Yeah. And it's affecting the carp, but not the other fish. So it worked out all right. They kill the carp but it's a lot of stinking dead fish, so.
Yeah, I'm guessing the real answer is they probably had to landfill them or something, so.
Yeah. The other thing I just was interesting were those experiments with those 60-inch corn rows, putting as many plants as they would in regular rows, but then in between they were putting either soybeans or some conservation crop to, stop either. I've heard one farmer up in Shawano County is trying 20 acres of that this year. So it'll be interesting to see how that works.
Why are they doing that?
Brian, mainly for conservation purposes, right?
Yeah, they're doing it for water quality. They're trying to grow either soybeans with cover crops later or cover crops period in between the rows. We did a little bit of it in Manawa at Dan Burst last year, and they did some yield testing. The corn was all right, but in his case, I think he was trying to grow some faba beans or something in between them, and those didn't work out. But I think that was more because of that crop than the specific management. I know he's done it before with soybeans in between as well. So
So are the soybeans supplying some nitrogen for the corn? Is that part of it too, or?
I suspect they probably are, Jim. I don't know. We may see some of the test results on that at some point this year. I don't know how much testing they did or if they did any foliar, what type of stuff that our demo farm guys did on that particular plot, but we've been seeing a little more of it here and there, guys trying it. I don't know how often they're doing good yield testing though.
How do you harvest that?
I don't I don't think you can harvest the soybeans unless you take the crop for silage, and then it would just all mix in.
That's what they were doing, I believe.
Yeah,
For grain, you wouldn't get the beans, no.
you know, then the corn would be if you, for grain, if you had a dry spell, you know, if they're that close. to you.
Right. Interesting.
You know, as slow as the bean grows, I'm surprised the bean can even be harvestable, that would be shaded.
Yeah, they aren't harvesting the beans, they're just,
I mean, even if they're deep, getting nice, it's usually in the shade, nothing grows.
I'll make a point to ask Matt Bruger about what any testing did and what they did with the crop on some of those instances. Maybe we can get some kind of report on that later in the year.
interesting. Okay. So. That's, do you have any other?
Moving on.
Yeah,
Okay, so number 9 on the agenda. I know a few of you probably remember from 10 to 12 years ago when we had the PACE program from DATCAP, where Wapaka did fairly well. We had 6 farms that had easements, conservation easements that got paid some pretty significant money to those farms. That program's pretty much dead. Don't expect to see it again. However, NRCS runs a version of it. They always have. It's generally been pretty hard to get into. I sent you out our chapter 47, which is our county easement ordinance. This thing was basically built as a precursor to these programs to allow us to administrate those easements for farmers. It was something that Mike Colas and Greg Blondie had worked on pretty hard back in the 2008, 2009 era. But anyway, we've had some interest from Art and Rita Richardson, who, if you know, they run a pretty significant grazing operation south of town in Lind. I think Art's got about 240 acres in grass for the beef there. And they have been they want to sell their operation to another grazer. They're getting, I think they're in their mid to late 70s. They want to, you know, kind of prepare for retirement. And they would prefer not to sell their ground, you know, to the most obvious buyers are probably Quantum, Brooks, or Nichols. And Art would prefer to keep his operation in grass and grazing. So he's inquired about this federal easement program called ASAP. And it turns out that there's a private entity known as American Farmland Trust who got a federal grant to do some of this work outside of this ASAP program. And that they expect that to take the pressure off, and that this year might be a fairly easy year for a guy to get in that program. Normally in Wisconsin, they only have about 2 to 3 farms statewide that get chosen for it each year. And I don't know how well Wapaka is ever going to stack up against Janesville and Madison areas where a lot of it happens. But if there's ever a chance for Art and Rita, this is the year. So I've been talking with the director of the AFT here in Wisconsin, Allison Volk. She used to be a DATCAP employee that we worked with on farmland preservation. And Art wants to apply for this. The county would end up being a co-easement holder like we were with the PACE easements and like we are with a lot of the voluntary easements that we hold under that ordinance. But I don't really have any staff time or knowledge of this program. So I asked Allison if she would be willing to write the application for Art and Rita, and she said she would. at a cost of about $1,000. And we have a cost share, a county cost share program available to help pay for that. We've had it since 2008 or 9. We used some ATC transmission fund money. There's still about $17,000 or $18,000 in that pot of money. So,
Can you repeat that, Brian? It bleeped out for a little bit, just when you said the dollar amount.
oh, we have about $17,000 or $18,000 left in that cost share account. And it pays 85% up to $5,000. We paid out quite a bit of that back in the 2009 to 2012 timeframe, and I don't think we've spent a dime of it since. So the Richardson, asking to receive the cost share on that $1,000 application that they would have to pay to American Farmland Trust. So I thought we should probably have a motion here at committee to cost share that.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, thank you. Moved by Cindy Hardy to move to approve the cost share for Art and Rita Richardson's application to the American Farmland Trust.
Second.
And thank you, seconded by Craig Nelson. Is there any more discussion from the committee?
The application is usually due in January, so we'll probably talk about it a little more between now and then. But
So Art and Rita are on Baggs Hill Road, right? And it's
correct.
It's quite sandy through there. Not real flat. It's a little bit rolling, and it's probably a real good use to just keep a fence around it and let the beef cattle chew the grass. So
Yeah, I think their real goal here is to be able to give somebody a discount on buying the whole operation, and not suffer, financially themselves. If they get this easement, NRCS would pay a portion of the sale price, allowing them to sell it to somebody of their choosing to maintain their operation at a more reasonable price. So.
yeah, interesting. Is there any other questions from the committee? Everybody understands the motion? Then we'd be in order to have a vote. So all in favor of proceeding with this cost share for this application for Art and Rita Richardson with American Farmland Trust grant application, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Number 10, Brian.
Okay, I just kind of put this on for a little bit of education for the newer members, because I've been receiving some monthly updates now from Golden Sands. For those of you that were on committee last year, if you remember, for a long time, probably 15 plus years, we've been contracting with Golden Sands RC&D to do aquatic invasive species work in the county. A lot of that's around the chain and some of the other lakes that have associations. And they would do that on a biannual grant, multi-county grant in the past. Well, DNR changed that program last year, and they went to a kind of a consistent cost share model, much like our cost sharing comes from DATCAP. And I sent you all the agreement on the last page. It has the dollar amounts. See if, I guess I can't share right now, Christy.
We got a notice on our side that your bandwidth is a little slow right now.
Oh, well, anyway, it's not all that important, but if you look at the material I sent out last week, that that agreement basically shows that every county gets between $12,000 and $16,000 from the state for AIS management. And we can do that as we please. However, the counties in Golden Sands basically chose to turn that back over to Golden Sands since they had staff in place that have been doing this. And that pays for their staff and the other things named in that contract. So I sent you a couple of the monthly updates that Chris Hammerla has been sending us. He's the main contact person for the AIS program and basically shows what he's doing in our county each month throughout the summer. So no specific action needed on that. I just wanted to do that as an update since this is our first year of it. I guess we'll probably hear more at the end of the year about how that's working out under the different grant system. So, any questions?
I guess not. Maybe after the meeting. we'll take a look.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brian, you were breaking up so much, it was really hard to get anything much out of it. All right,
Oh. I don't know if I can do anything to fix that. Can you hear me all right now?
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Let's move on to the cover crop rates. That's more important today. I sent that out. Did everybody get that by email? Basically, due to the costs of fuel and spray, I'm looking at raising the cover crop incentive payment $4 an acre on each of the two main categories there in red. We should have a motion to approve that.
I think that's a good idea. I'm just looking at diesel fuel and all the other little incidental costs that are creeping up besides. And yeah, if I don't know what anybody else is thinking.
he said the last thing, sorry.
Yeah.
It's $4 gonna be enough, I think.
No, it probably isn't, Dennis, but if I raise it, so if you look at the sheet, we're only allowed to go to $70 an acre. And even if we get close to that, we're going to start to blow our total grant out of the water as far as giving every farmer that's interested an opportunity at that cost share. So I was trying to balance between what is enough and what's going to blow our grant out of the water this year.
Work with what we got.
Yeah.
Okay. So do we need a motion on that?
Yes, please.
Okay, so repeat again, Brian, here. I was fumbling through my emails. It's to increase the cost share rate schedule for the cover crop program.
Yeah, for the two categories, the single overwintering species, which is like rye or wheat, and then for the overwintering multi-species, those are our two main categories. We'd be increasing those by $4 each.
$4.
There
It's
you go.
from, yeah, the single overwintering, which would be like rye or possibly wheat, $52 to $56 an acre. And then the multi-species would be from $64 to $68. And that starts out higher because the seed mix is higher cost.
Correct.
So,
I'll make a motion
okay,
to increase cost, price charge.
I'll second that.
thank you. Moved by Ken Yeager, seconded by Dennis Wengelski to approve the $4 rate increases for the cost sharing on the cover crop, single species and multi-species cost share program. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay. So Brian, did your computer catch up?
Well, I turned my video off. I'm hoping that helps a little. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah,
we can hear
it's
you.
sounding good now.
Yeah, sometimes having that video on, I know you like to see my pretty face, but it's not helpful.
Well, we know what you look like. You're not wearing your pajamas anyway.
Yeah, I'm dressed at least from the waist up, so.
Okay,
So the next thing is Great Lake Restoration Initiative grants. We applied for 2 of these a year ago with the help of DNR. One of them is a smaller grant for $40,000 in Bear Creek watershed. Basically to do cover cropping, no tilling or low disturbance manure application. And the second one's quite a bit bigger. It's for $400,000 in Bear Lake, which would come in after our current trim grant and give us another 3 years or so of cost sharing soft practices and field practices. So basins, waterways, cover cropping, low disturbance manure applications, things like that. I've been told recently by DNR that we are going to get both of those. I thought we should probably have a motion on the books here that we're willing to accept that money. I kind of expect them to probably extend the grant to us within the next 30 to 60 days. So.
He talks money.
yeah.
Rushes up.
Yeah, it's just funny how this is working out, Brian, because every time you're gonna say a dollar amount, then our connection gets weak, so. If you can repeat that, then we'll get that in a motion to accept that DNR grant money.
All right, so there's 2 GLRI grants, one for Bear Lake at $400,000 for a 3 to 4 year period. That includes staffing money with it, about 80,000 worth of staffing. And then the other one's a smaller $40,000 grant for Bear Creek. All of these are for cover cropping, soft practices, field basins, things of that nature. Was that clear this time?
Yep.
Gonna need 2 suppers.
Do you want 2 motions or all on one?
One is fine.
One is fine. Okay, so we need a motion to accept the DNR grant money for $40,000 for the Bear Creek watershed. Did I say that right, Brian?
Yes.
And then $400,000 for the Bear Lake watershed from Wisconsin DNR to Wapaka County Land and Water Department.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Moved by Cindy Hardy, seconded by Craig Nelson to accept the DNR grant money for Bear Lake watershed and the Bear Creek watershed of a total of $440,000. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Brian, I want to apologize. I just remember something on that. On number 10, the golden sands and the critic invasive species. I read something on, they got zebra mussel in Bear Lake.
Oh,
Did you hear anything about that, Brian?
Yeah, that's true. We have zebra mussels in a lot of places. The chain has them, Bear Lake.
I just read, I don't know, must have been something you sent. I was reading through
could
it,
have been.
but it was kind of shocking when I first heard about it, when you think everything is so clean and all of a sudden now you got zebra mussels in Bear Lake.
sees all these boats.
And they're supposed to be washing up before they go in and out. I can't imagine like on a chain, you know, how they're patrolling that, you know.
Well, so keep in mind, while zebra mussels are not desirable because they get out of control, you know, they grow too fast, they become a monoculture. They do have the effect of cleaning the water. So the water actually gets cleaner when zebra mussels are present.
I might mention that the Chain Lake Association is doing a research project with Golden Sands. We put plates out, we monitor how many we have and how they're moving and so forth. But as Brian said, the zebra mussels actually clean water and remove a lot of the food for other species. So you look at one and say, oh, it looks great, but it's very detrimental to other wildlife.
They filter too good. Yeah,
So they originate from Lake Michigan? Is that where they're coming from, off the boats?
yeah, that's where they first found them, I believe, was Lake
Well,
Michigan.
they actually moved in from other parts of the country. I mean, they're pretty much everywhere now.
Yeah, they weren't native to this area of the world. They came in from Europe or somewhere.
Asia. I think they're Asian.
Yeah, okay.
So being a mussel, can you eat them or are they not edible?
Well, they're very tiny.
Okay.
They're real small, so it's nothing that you convert into food.
Right.
And there is no known way of removing them that's economical. So you just pick them off if you want. But we're just trying to monitor and see. The DNR thinks that once they clear out water, then their population subsides.
Oh,
And so they want to see what happens. Maybe it becomes something that's manageable long term. I don't know.
interesting. They run out of food and then they kind of disappear, or not quite, but they drop.
Right, the population crashes.
Yeah, okay. Interesting. Okay. Are you still there, Brian?
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay. I guess we're on to 13.
I don't have any agreements to approve this month, so we're good there.
Okay,
I'll keep my report short since my audio isn't great. We did take some water samples at the Hallman Farm north of Wyowega during that rain last week. That'll go to DNR for enforcement. If you remember, Mr. Hallman's got a manure problem in the road ditch there, and he really hasn't been making any strides in cleaning up the problem. So DNR will likely be issuing a notice of discharge to him. And then we have a notice of discharge on the books for the Iwart Farm north of Manawa from 2 years ago. Landowner there has just refused to cooperate, so DNR is taking that further to enforcement right now. I'll probably talk to Diane about what our options are too. So basically a daily discharge there. The milk house waste and some other manure sources are being discharged into the stream.
It's right on top of the hill there.
yep,
Otherwise, Dan and Taylor are gonna be doing a shoreland inventory on the chain with the help of Phil Peterson there and a few others. We did that about 8 years ago, so this will give us an opportunity to follow up on that. And DATCAP has asked us to do inspections on our permanent CREP easements. So that's like that was a joint project with FSA. Some of them are permanent. After 15 years, FSA is basically done. Then we monitor them on behalf of the state. We've got about 24 of those that they're asking us to come. They're about 17 or 18 years old, and they want us to do a comprehensive review of them and make sure they're not being encroached on. So Stefan's working on that. Probably going to be a time consumer for a few weeks here. So it's a good program, but sometimes we don't think these things out 10 or 20 years ago on what type of workload they bring us in the future. So,
No, that's. Yeah,
that's all I got, Jim.
okay. So, what are you needing for upcoming meetings? A month from now?
Well, the first Monday of July is the 4th of July, so that's obviously not going to work for any of us, right?
4th of July, he just said, right, yeah. It blacked out, but we're tracking. We don't want to meet on the 4th of July. No.
So we probably could bump back to the 11th then.
I've got a legislative meeting on the 11th,
What time?
9 o'clock.
Clean's probably good. That's two.
Right.
Yep.
We've got 2 people that have got prior commitment to legislative meeting. Jess, I suppose.
Want to start early?
Yeah, if we just started a little earlier, I think we'd be all right there, huh?
If we can get out of here before 9 and,
Yeah, it's fine.
okay, it's up to you, Brian. You're the one that's gotta get the earlier start too, so 8 o'clock or earlier?
7:30?
7:45.
7:45.
7:45. July 11th.
7:11.
We should just put 4 a.m. and send that to Dwayne and see what he thinks.
Yeah. He might be up, but he won't be, he'll still be in his house.
You probably would make the suggestion, could you make it 5?
Usually at the rec center weight room before 6.
Oh, sure.
Be perfect for me, I'm up at 4.
Okay, is there any other business?
No, sir.
Okay, if there's no other business, we'd be in order to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
We're adjourned. Thank you, Wayne.
Good job, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for suffering through this. It was kind of a surprise here in the last day and a half. That,
You can imagine.
You sound good. You don't sound like you've got anything going on.
Yeah,
Face a little puppy.
I feel really good right now. Yesterday, I laid on the couch all day and I didn't sleep very well last night.
Well, maybe you can get rested up and